All right, this is Matilda Wood for History 300. This is my family history oral interview, and on the phone with me, I have my cousin, Sue Coslow Harris. And Sue, could you start us off by explaining how you and I are related?
Oh, yes, I'd be happy to. Uh, I was pleased to get your call and get to know who you were during this um, instruction period that you had to get together. And I am first cousin to your dad, Renee McAllister, and he had some nicknames, but his real name was Renee, and I'm just happy to be with you this afternoon.
Thank you for being willing to answer some questions for me today. Let's see, I'll just start with number one, and I sent you the questions beforehand so you knew what to expect. That was a good idea. Thank you for asking me to do that. Let's see, what can you tell me about where our family is from?
Okay, your great great grandparents are Levi Garrison Coslow and Darcy Sutton Coslow. They came from Arkansas in or around 1879.
Oh,
Records show that Levi was born September the 10th, 1847 in South Carolina and died December the 16th, 1888 in Polk County, Georgia. Darcy was born in 1850 in North Carolina. I have no information on her death, but both Levi and her are buried at Hills Creek Church Cemetery. He has a marker with his name on it, and hers is a slate marker with no name, but it is assumed that it is her gravesite. Now, they settled in East Polk, Polk County, behind the Hills Creek Church, located on Georgia Highway 113. And it might be an interest of you too, Matilda, that your uncle, Calvin McAllister, purchased property where the Coslows lived when they settled in Georgia. He made his home there, and as well as his three sons have built their homes on that property. Now, I'd like to go ahead and tell you about your great grandparents, if you would
sure.
like
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Okay, that would be your grandmother's uh, mom and dad. William Thomas Coslow was born December the 30th, 1870, in Little Rock, Arkansas, and he was Irish and died on April 23rd, 1949, in Taylorsville, Georgia. And Florence Virginia Scott Coslow was born on November the 13th, 1870, in Bartow County, Georgia. She died July the 30th, 1956, in Bartow County, Georgia. She was Scottish descent, and both are buried in the Taylorsville Cemetery.
Well, I didn't know we had lived in Arkansas or that we had Scottish, so both of those things are very
Yes,
interesting.
and I don't think that I included that. I might not have said it, but William Thomas was Irish. He came from Ireland, or his descendants did.
Okay, all right. So, so would you say, I do have to point out before the year 1922, so prior to 1922, would we have been Bartow County already or somewhere else at that time?
Um, well, I think I said that the great great grandparents came and settled here in around. Well, I think it was well
Was it 29 you said?
79,
Oh,
1879.
1879. Okay.
Yeah. So then the yeah, to 22, they were already here. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So already in Bartow County.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they settled over there in Polk County, but then that was the first descendants that came here, and then they scattered on out to Bartow, but their initial landing was in Polk County.
Okay.
And you'll notice that little white church there on the 113, and you can imagine that they were back behind there. And if you know where your Uncle Calvin lived, they called that the Coslow home place, and it was known to have a great peach orchard there.
Okay. All right. We'll move to question number two.
Okay.
All right. How would you describe your family when you were growing up?
Well, my family, as most of the families in this area, were just poor sharecroppers, and the landowner would supply the dwelling, and the tenant would supply the seed, the equipment, the labor, and cotton was the prime crop. But in the fall and harvest time, the tenant would get three-fourths of the income, and the landowner would get a fourth. But that was called three-fourths farming, but the farmer had to spend all the money, and I guess the fourth that the tenant, the landowner got was just because he owned the land. He didn't really have to put any expense in the growing of the crop. And I had six siblings, but two of them died at birth, and another at 18 months, and my daddy and mother were really lenient on us when it came to working in the fields. We all went to the fields together, but I'm sorry to say we were not very sympathetic to our parents' hard work. And since the three older kids were all girls, they let us by, I guess. And then the baby was the only boy in the family, and of course he was a big pet, so
He was the baby, right?
he was the baby and the only boy, and so that had to put him in a special position. But many families were, large just for the purpose of labor force, and
Right.
many had a hard life with hard work, and they had punishment too by their parents if they slacked off on their workload. But your grandfather, Lee McAllister, worked at Juilliard Cotton Mills in Aragon,
Hmm.
and your grandmother, Hattie McAllister, she worked in the field for others. They weren't farmers as such, but she was known in this area as one of the best when it came to the amount of cotton she could pick in a day.
Oh,
And they had 13 children,
right,
and I thought it was remarkable that she didn't lose a one in birth.
right.
My mom lost two at birth and one at 18 months, and we only had a total of seven. But that was a great record for her. But of course, they lost their firstborn when he was 41 in a work accident, and
Yes.
so that was a sad time for them. But they were a big, active family, and were good folks. I mean, they all were good and worked hard and happy. They all
Right.
had smiles, so I thought they had an outstanding family.
That's wonderful. Oh, that makes me happy to think about that.
Hmm.
Um, okay, this leads us to question number three. Would you like to share a favorite memory from your childhood?
Well, an outstanding memory was having money in the fall harvest time, and my daddy would take us to Cartersville to eat a hamburger at a little restaurant called Curly's. And this was our only time during the year we get to eat out, and it was so good. And then we'd go on to the Bartow County Fair, and we had the admission money, but we didn't have any money for rides. But um, we didn't complain about that. We just had a great time getting to go somewhere. Times were so different, and
Right.
what a wonderful time it was on this special night to get to be a part of the lights and entertainment of the fair.
That's something to think about. When you were a child, you got to eat out, you said one time a year.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
think about now how often people eat out. That's
I know it. I know it. And we didn't have a TV or a telephone or anything. So our entertainment was to visit the neighbors. Most of them were family members. And we go say what they call sitting till bedtime with them. And we'd all play together. And we were really close families, by having that opportunity.
right.